What's up, Raider Nation? What's going on? My name's Anthony Alavis. Post game talk here about the Raiders losing big to the Dallas Cowboys, 33-16 at Allegiant Stadium. And man, let me tell you something right now. As I said before, this team is probably worse than last season's team. At least last season's team put up a fight, or somewhat. This year's team look like they're collecting paychecks, except for Max Crosby. Max Crosby putting it out on the field, trying to make plays, strip sack, fumble. 15 yard at the 15-yard line, the Raiders offense has plenty of room to score a touchdown. Yep. They score just a field goal, 3 points. At this point in the season, it's a lost cause for this team. And John Spytek and Pete Carroll are to blame for all this, because I feel like they sat on their butts during the free agency period and didn't do a thing to upgrade the Raiders' offense and defense, especially the offensive line. Instead, he signs Alex Kappa, who played for the Buccaneers. Who cares? All this old stuff like connections, like when Josh McDaniels came to the Raiders, ties to the Patriots, that needs to stop, because it's not going to work in another. It's not going to work for another team. The Raiders tried it twice. Now they're doing it the Seahawks way, and they're not. This team's a mess and a joke. Okay, I covered the Raiders since 2015. I've been watching the team for such a long time. My family are big Raider fans, and especially my uncle, who passed away in, 2017, 2018, around the area, was a massive Raider fan, and he was a diehard. And all this stuff that's going on with the Raiders right now, I feel your guys' pain, because the Raiders are not doing anything right, and I don't know where the silver lining in all this is going to be. At this point, the season should just end now. The Raiders are 2-8. Let's not talk about the P word, because obviously that's not going to happen if they win out. They go 9-8. Not going to happen. They may beat the Browns on Sunday. Game could be 6-3, but these Raiders, though, Geno Smith in particular, is I just can't go over the fact that I remember seeing that video where he talked about, like, they pay me the big bucks. They pay me the big bucks. He needs to pay the Raiders back for his horrible play. And I think the Seattle Seahawks saw something foreshadowing. That's why they went after Sam Darnold. Although Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions yesterday against the Rams, but that's just one bad game. At least he has the Seahawks with a winning record, where Geno Smith, he's 2-8, leading the Raiders. I saw Max Crosby being upset on the sideline, and he has every reason to be upset, because the Raiders' offense are not doing anything. The offensive line is trash, pure trash. Tyler Lockett, I don't understand that signing. Before the season started, I thought the Raiders should have signed him, but Tennessee Titans ended up signing him. I think John Spytek needs to make a big splash in the offseason. The money that the Raiders are going to have, they need to spend to upgrade the offensive line, upgrade the quarterback position. Kyle Blue Kelly, he's no good. You see Jack Jones making plays yesterday. All these former Raiders making plays. Detroit Lions. You got a Amik Robertson over there. You also got I saw him last night. I forgot the name already. Jesus Christ. He was called for pass interference yesterday. Well, was it really called? Was it really a pass PI? You see former Raiders making plays with other teams. Yet, with the Raiders, nothing's happening there. I don't believe the Raiders are cursed. I just think the Raiders I don't know. It's just 2 good seasons where they made the playoffs, 2016 and 2021, and that's about it. So think the Raiders need to make a big splash in free agency. As far as the draft, man, they got a lot of guys that they drafted. They're not even playing, except for Jack Beck and Delta Thornton. Uh, but the offensive line, I like to see Rodgers play. Because at this point, you might as well bench the starting offensive lineman. You're gonna have Colton Miller coming back. I think that's what head coach Pete Carroll was talking about this past week. But it's just I don't know. The Raiders are a mess. Even in worse shape this year than they were last year, and it was hard to watch tonight. Even I'm all jacked up because I don't even know which day they played. They played tonight. So I mean, you don't have to be there to know where the problem begins. Okay, you know, it's just bad football all around. For the Raiders, and I don't know, just very disappointing to watch. They got the Cleveland Browns coming in to Allegiant Stadium this Sunday. Easily could be a low-scoring game. Battle of the number 1 or 2 pick. That game. But man, never thought that the Raiders. Yes, I never thought. Honestly, I didn't think the Raiders would be 2-8 at this point in the season. I think they would have been at least 5-5 or something like that. That would have been acceptable. But at 2-8, no. Who's next? Who's next to be fired? McMahon was fired last week. Now who's next? It's just terrible, guys, and I just have no other words to say other than what I was talking about. I don't want to be repetitive. You guys see the problems. I don't need to repeat that. Yes, the Raiders need to start. Look, Spytek and Carroll will be back next year, but they need to do something if they want to see a third year with the Raiders, because it's a make or break for them next year. If they don't do anything, the Raiders gonna have to. We're gonna start all over again. Beat writers talking about who's gonna be the next coach. And it's just bad. So that's all I have to say. My name is Anthony Galavis, and we'll talk again soon.